For more on where this legislation and other legislation might be headed, Angela Reddock-Wright, she's an employment attorney and mediator in Los Angeles. So welcome to the show. We're going to need your help here because this is very, very complicated. I'm going to try to keep it as narrow as possible, but let's start with the legislation. What prompted it? How did we get here, and who or how are we protecting the children?
Well, you're right. It is a complicated issue, and I appreciate the remarks before mine. But essentially, Illinois has taken the lead in seeking to protect children when it comes to their appearance, involvement, use in TikTok videos, Instagram videos, and the like. This is building on the child labor laws, which we first started to see in 1936, where a child actor realized after they became an adult that their parents had spent all the money that that child has spent their entire childhood making on behalf of the family. So recognizing that social media and videos by children and their families are now going viral, and families and children, or families are being paid for these videos and being sponsored and becoming celebrities, this law is now designed to protect those children, to make sure that when they're 18, that they can see the fruits of their labor.
Okay, but this is where it gets complicated. Here's the but. We got a family, the parents are in the videos, the dad or mom or the kids' friends, and every video is different. You can't. How are you going to legislate this? And I understand you want to protect the potential income for the future, but these videos involve a lot of people. It's impossible to monitor.
Right. Well, as with any new law, the devil's in the details, right? And so there are a lot of details missing from this law. So I believe the Illinois state legislature has even acknowledged that they'll need to do some additional work to add to this law. But for now, it says that if the child is in the video for at least 30% of the video, so take a 1-minute reel or a 2-minute video, you would measure it by the amount of time that that child is in that 1-minute or 2-minute or more video. So that's the starting point. And it's from there. And then that child is entitled to at least 30% of whatever the family, the parent, the caregiver, the guardian receives for the sponsorship or the advertisement of that video.
Right. But what's the concern here? Is the concern that these terrible parents are filming their kids doing jumping jacks or some sporting thing and somehow making millions off their 6-year-old child kicking field goals? I mean, is that what this is about?
Well, no, the parents have to be paid for it. So it doesn't cover just the average family video that someone is putting up. But if the parents have reached that celebrity status, or the family has reached that celebrity status and they are being paid for that video or receiving advertising revenue from that video, that's when the obligation to consider payment for the children under the age of 16 becomes effective. And so what we have to think about is there are two considerations here. There's privacy for the children. So that's a whole nother conversation because, are the children of the age where they can voluntarily consent to participating in these videos? And so that raises one issue. So some children may grow up and say, I never consented to this. I never wanted to do it. Or even after doing it at some point, because children change their minds all the time, I no longer wanted to be a part of that. But that's a conversation for a different day. But for the child, and we see a lot of children. I mean, I stay up late at night watching many of these videos and have fallen in love with some of the child stars that we see out there. So for the child that is willingly doing this, the issue really boils down to making sure that there's money preserved for that child and considered for that child in a trust account that allows them to benefit at a later time.
We're saying the word child, but some are 4 years old, some are 10 years old, some are 16. I mean, they are very, very different levels of education and awareness of what's really happening.
Indeed.
One thing that comes to mind is kid actors is not a new thing, right? Nickelodeon does it, Disney does it. We see them in commercials all the time. Why not just do the exact same model that Hollywood has done? Because I imagine that they're protecting their kids and their rights pretty well, right?
Yes, but Hollywood has in the traditional sense, has many more protections in place. So, for example, on set, they might have a person that's overseeing the role of that child and making sure that the child is not being taken advantage of. They'll have tutors on set, et cetera. So that's an entirely different infrastructure. This is happening in our homes. This is happening just in people's everyday lives. So, the process it would take to put all of those measures in place to ensure that children are fully protected, we're definitely not there. And it's probably a lot more than what we're bargaining for. So, but you raise a good point. A child at the age of 4, can they give the kind of consent that a child at the age of 15 can give? Most likely not. So clearly there's much more that needs to be done in order to make sure that the most vulnerable of children, those who are the youngest, and perhaps,
Right.
they have some children that have disabilities, emotional issues, et cetera, to make sure those children are being protected.
Real quickly, Hector's yelling at me. He says I have 30 seconds left. Can we successfully legislate bad parenting? Because that's kind of where this is going towards, right? Can we successfully legislate bad parenting, and what's the penalty?
We can't fully do that, but this is certainly a starting point, right? To make sure that at minimum, children who become famous through social media don't suddenly turn 18 and don't see any benefit from that. So this is a beginning point. But of course, as with anything, it starts with educating parents. It starts with, there's child protective services, other, folks that could be involved in something like this. But it's a beginning point, and I think we'll see a lot more in terms of legislation that's trying to and attempting to protect children in this regard.
I fear the different roads this could lead to, and also I have a suspect that this is really just the beginning of this discussion. Angela Reddock-Wright, appreciate you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.